Hey guys, I'm Jackie Brubaker, your host of That Girl the Podcast. I'm an author, performer, 2-time Emmy Award winner, human relationship specialist, and founder of the wellness website loveyouevenmore.com. Each week I bring on inspiring people and experts in their field to have powerful, motivational, and enlightened conversations about relationships, self-development, and how you can live your most authentic life. Follow us for daily updates on myself and the podcast at That Girl the Podcast and at Jackie Brubaker on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and our Patreon page. While you're at it, make sure to check out my new wellness website, loveyouevenmore.com. If you're wanting to dig into developing more self-worth, be healthier about relationships, and learn how to date smarter, go to loveyouevenmore.com and follow us on Instagram at loveyouevenmore. Okay, here we go. Are you ready? I don't know if I'm ready, but are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, great. Welcome, Liza Muravina. I said it. I did it. That Girl, the podcast. We just went through this. I'm going to say your name right. I'm so excited to have you on. Anna is a female director. Woohoo! Getting us out there, getting more of us in there. We're going to talk all about how she became one, what that's like, what her, projects are looking like, and what's the future of, female directors and all of that, basically. And then just for funsies, we're going to talk about crazy boys in LA because why not? It's going to be a mixed bag kind of a situation. So Anna, I like to let my guests introduce themselves and explain a little bit more about themselves because you guys do a much better job than I could.
Sure. I'm Anna Liza Muravina, speaking to you from sunny Los Angeles, California, where I was born and raised. And I'm a film writer, director, and producer. I had I'll give you my spiel. How about I give you the spiel?
Give the spiel.
So my spiel, that always sounds like I'm doing it fresh, every single general meeting I've ever taken. I'm from LA. My mom's Russian. And I lived in Europe for a long time. And one day I decided that I really wanted to work in the film industry, something I'd done, sort of peripherally growing up. And I wasn't exactly sure how to go about it, but I had an opportunity to start really traditionally in the mailroom at WME.
Oh my goodness. That is
I did it like old school. Yeah. This was like pre-Harvey Weinstein, pre-Me Too. Like I did the classic version. So I pushed the mail cart for a couple of weeks. I got my first desk as an assistant. I actually had a lovely boss, who was a French agent who was a great mentor to me to this day. And I learned the ins and outs of, it's basically like grad school for Hollywood. You learn what all of the companies are and how the relationships work and, how projects come together, yada, yada. And you're exposed to just so much information. And then I did the next traditional thing, which was to get an assistant job at a production company. And I worked at Heyday Films, where they made the Harry Potter movies.
Oh, how fun. Was that in LA or in London?
So the main office is in London.
Okay.
And I was working in the LA office on the Warner Brothers lot. So that also felt
a beautiful lot.
Yeah, very traditional Hollywood, going to pick up my boss's dumb omelet from the commissary. And do you want to hear a funny story about that omelet?
Yes, I want to hear all the funny stories today.
So I had a boss who will remain unnamed at the moment, though weirdly many villains in many of my scripts have this name. He's okay. He's just like an old school Hollywood guy and like emotionally abusive. And that's all. That's what they all are. he used to make me like write his address wrong because he lived in Studio City, but he didn't want me to write on like correspondence because we still used letters then. Studio City, he would make me write that he was in Los Angeles. Anyway, insecure guy. Mm-hmm. And he would make me every morning go order this omelet, which made no sense to me. It was an egg white omelet with goat cheese and cherry tomatoes, dry. There's nothing wrong with that in and of itself, but it's just like, this is like a tuna melt kind of guy. Like this omelet did not make sense with this man. And I was like, okay, I don't know what this, fine. Like I'll get your fucking omelet. So every morning I get his omelet And then, a few months go by, and our big boss, who's this like very fantastic, very sophisticated, very handsome silver fox.
Ooh, that makes the day go by fast.
Yeah. He comes to town and he wants us to meet him for breakfast at the chateau. I'm like 24, 25. And I'm like, what are we meeting? So, we meet the boss for a breakfast meeting at the chateau, and my boss is late, and David orders an egg white omelet with cherry tomatoes and goat cheese dry. And I was like, oh, that's where that order comes from. Okay.
Yep.
But anyway, okay. I worked there for a while. I learned how studio development worked to some degree. I got a fake title raise, where I became a creative executive, but made no more money and still had to get omelets. And, and then I got a job running development for a company called Baslevs, which was a Russian company, headed by a filmmaker named Timur Bekmambetov. And suddenly I was allowed to develop and produce low budget movies, which I did. We made a bunch of them. And I got to actually make movies. I got to hire people I thought were super talented. I got to help a few people make their first film.
Wow.
I got to go shoot a comedy in Mexico. And it was really cool. And I did that for about 5 years, during which time I had a minor existential crisis. In which
you do,
as one does,
many.
Yeah. And had to come to terms with the fact that I wanted to be an artist, which I kind of always knew, but didn't really have a good template for what that would look like, because all the artists I had ever been exposed to were either born wealthy.
This is also true.
Which gave them the freedom to make their art, or they were this like very European style, like Russian intelligentsia, French intelligentsia, bohemians who made no money. And I was like, well, I'd like to be an artist, but I would also like to go to France every summer and have money. Like, I guess that means I have to be a producer. I don't know. It didn't make sense to me until working in film long enough. I met my peers who figured it out sooner and were hustling their way into careers. And it was really hard. And I saw them. I saw how they had to do like substitute teaching and all the stuff you have to do. But I also
Can I just pause on that? Because there are some weird jobs that people take while they're making their dreams happen. Like that is one of them. Tutoring is one of them. I've met.
I'm currently tutoring.
We need to talk.
I don't want you to think that I've suddenly now made the money.
No, we're all living in the hills. It's true. You and I, we both have our house in the hills now.
Listener,
yes. In fact, actually, let's talk about when you're done. Let's go back to this and talk about the realities of what it really does look like as a working artist.
What hustling to have a real career looks like. Yeah.
Yes. Let's
absolutely. I'm happy to, because I'm deep in it. We're almost the same. We're pretty much at the end of the first part of my career story, and at the beginning of the second part of my career story, which is, I made those movies. I had really good friends who sat me down and said, hey, you want to be an artist, you should really do that. And I made a plan for how to do it, how to save enough money, and give myself some space to figure it out. And then in fall of 2019, I took the leap and I left my company and became a freelancer, and promptly got locked up for 2 years.
Right.
Which actually turned out, I'm sorry. I know the pandemic is a complicated thing. In many ways for me, it was very lucky, because I just had a cocoon in which to write my own work and develop the work of artists that I wanted to work with. So I came out of that now in 2022. So I now have a slate. I have like my feature project that's going to be my directing debut. I have scripts that I'm writing that I'm setting up. And I have 2 movies that I'm in the process of setting up that are written and directed by other people, and then a slew of plays. There's a play I'm directing in New York. There's a TV show. There's just like a slate of stuff. I formed a company. It's all happening. Literally none of it involves being paid at this stage, which is the part we'll get into with the tutoring.
There's no money in Hollywood. That's the big thing that nobody tells you.
Yeah. But, there is money, but it's exponential.
Yeah.
So for like a very long time, there is no money.
Yeah.
And then through the alchemy of circumstance and work and sometimes talent, you make money. And then once you make one thing that involves making money, it becomes exponentially easier to keep making money.
This is so true. This is so true.
I don't want to say it's a Ponzi scheme, but
no, we'll just call it the law of attraction, because that's actually what I think is happening, is that it's that momentum of like, oh, cool. Like, so like I have a friend who during 2020 was writing it's a new, I wish I knew the title, but it's coming out. And it's all about what really happened.
It's a really good friend. Yeah.
It's a really good friend. We're really close. No, we dated for like a month and it was like, okay, cool. But now we're just like friends on Facebook. Cause he's not on Instagram, which is so strange. I'm like, why? Anyway, he was writing a screenplay for what the real Godfather, like behind the scenes, looked like. And that is now coming out as a real movie. And
that's
like now
movie.
He's like, all this momentum is happening. And like, he'll post like, oh, this screenplay just got picked up. I'm like, good for you. But like, that is after years and years and years of doing all kinds of crazy things in order to do your art. So let's wrap back around to that really looks like.
Oh yeah. You know what I did yesterday?
Tell me.
An 8th grade science project.
I love it.
Yeah.
You know what I was doing?
I work for a fancy tutoring company that will go unnamed, run by genuinely excellent people who I respect. And I knew this going into it. Like, I used to do college application stuff in grad school. It was a way to pay my bills. So now when I'm in the transitional period where I'm getting stuff off the ground, I'm in a startup. I'm a startup founder. That's the way we're going to pitch.
That's what you are.
As I get my seed funding, the current seed funding is from tutoring. And it was a fucking 8th grade science project by some poor girl very rich poor girl in Calabasas. Whose mother just like paid for this. And I had to test whether waterproof mascara really does last longer than regular mascara. And I had to write the report in the voice of an 8th grader from Calabasas, which was a good creative exercise.
Yes, actually, that is what I really want to read this now.
I'm actually pretty proud of that work. It reminded me of the time with that old boss I didn't like, who had me write his nanny's application for her kid to get a scholarship to go to private elementary school, which I was happy to do because I'm happy to help. I'm happy to help someone get their kid into a better school, but like writing an essay in the voice of a Guatemalan immigrant was like morally, I was morally ambivalent on that. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, I mean, everybody I know has to do something. Like, I've just realized copywriting pays a lot more money. I just realized how much money people make in communications. Mm-hmm. And if my goal was just to make money, I probably could go and do that. But unfortunately, I have delusions of philosophical meaning and connection with strangers. And so I'm doing science projects.
I like it. I mean, that's the thing too. Like, if you're just inherently creative, which obviously you are, obviously I am as well, and people who are listening, here's the thing, like, you're an artist when you can't not do what you love, and you will sacrifice for it. You just will.
If you're willing to put up with shit to do it.
Yeah. Like, I remember I saw a tea leaf reader when I was like, oh gosh, I was young. I was like, I don't know, 21 or something, really young. And she was reading my leaves and she's like, you're going to have a lot of sacrifice in your life, but you're going to be very successful. But there's going to be a lot of sacrifice before. And I was like, did you know that I'm an actor? Mm-hmm. Okay. But it's true. And it's really like, I feel like it's incredibly humbling. And no matter what area you are in the arts, like it's so much about being vulnerable and it's so much about stripping down and really understanding yourself so much all the time, constantly. It's like constant therapy. Yeah. And then also understanding others. And that's what makes great art, because art is really just about relating to something. And how does it make you feel?
I mean, it's the only thing that people who are called to do this either have or force themselves to do that really differentiates them from most people. There's nothing about our experience as people that's any different from anybody else. Like, all the humans are just the humans. It's just like, if you're born with the tick that allows you or forces you to expose yourself constantly in ways that are painful, then you might be an artist.
You were wondering kind of it is, what the litmus test is.
People get very caught up in thinking that like what they're exposing is extremely special or rare. And it's not. Like, the good stuff is when you're exposing something that everybody has, that everyone has felt or can at least imagine or connect to. And I get why people have to feel like it's so super special, because sometimes you feel like you've got to justify what a pain in the ass it is to do that, and to also justify, how much fun it is.
Yeah. You're like, no, I do love it though. I do.
Yeah, and it's work. It's hard. It's hard work to put on my cute outfit and like, so there's a lot of like self-justification going on there. But if you get down to just like what doing the art is, it's more or less like looking at what you've got, sharing it, and trying to share it in a way that is, actually going to reach other people.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what I'm trying to do anyway.
No, I think that's absolutely what it is. And I love how this conversation has turned more about like, if you're an artist and you're afraid to become one, you should probably just become one, because it's what you're destined for. Well, anyway. This is what it looks like.
I'm going to push back a little on that, because it takes a certain kind of temperament. I really think.
Yeah.
Because, there's also this dialogue around how art and the truth and all of this are the highest good, but also living a life in which you're not miserable is important and good. And like, I don't think I have the temperament to be an actor, because that kind of immediate rejection that you have to do day to day in a personal way, I don't know that I can handle it. And part of the thing that makes my temperament good for being a director is that I fucking love making decisions. It's like my favorite thing to do. Right. And that's like your main job as a director. It's like, pick good actors, make decisions. And so, I think some people take an honest look at their own personality or the circumstances they were born with, or, how their life has turned out, and say to themselves, like, I don't think the pieces come together for this to mean, for this to make sense. And I also don't think the world needs to hear from any of us. So like, it's kind of, it's so much of it is luck. Yeah. And the luck of meeting the right thing and having the right opportunity, but also the luck of just having the right alchemy of circumstance that this makes sense. I know such talented people for whom it just didn't.
Yeah, no, that's a really, really good point. And I've had this conversation with people too. Like, well, I think that's why so many people, come to LA or go to New York, and like, then they leave after a couple of years, because they're like, oh my God, this is so hard, no matter what they're trying to do within the arts. And like, this is actually the only, which is same with you, like, this is the only career I've ever worked in, the only industry. I don't even, it's kind of terrifying when I think about working in other ones. I'm like, I don't know what that is or how I would do that. But how do I start with this? So it's like, there is just a huge amount of humility and also self-awareness of like, what can you handle to like you said, have a life that you actually enjoy living, even if it is sacrificial, and you do things that you're like, well, this is like happening right now and it's temporary, but I'm making my art, I'm good and genuinely happy. Or, or if you're coming from a place of major ego and trying to, create this like starlit kind of career that you think it's supposed to be, and then you're just constantly rejected and it's just breaking you down. Like, this isn't about like, I'm better than you or you're better than me. This is truly, like you said, so much of it is luck, but so much of it is, and that's why I say, like, if you're an artist, you just make art because you can't not do it. Even if it's just for you and nobody ever sees it, like that is still being an artist, you don't.
That's exactly right. That's also why it's so easy and such a pleasure to completely hate on the people who come
not
here.
That we're doing that right now.
Not that we're doing that, but I completely am. I mean, because I don't like, I'm from LA, so
Same.
I've been watching this my whole life.
Me too, girl.
Yeah. And part of the reason that I hesitated to become an artist is because I had so clearly in front of me the template of try to be an artist and fail. Right. Mm-hmm. And how genuinely pathetic that can be. Like, it really is. Like, this is, if you don't like, stained concrete and faded neon and broken dreams and the smell of urine, like, don't move to Los Angeles.
Right.
But the reason I can be facetious about that is because the people I know, especially, I see it most clearly with actors, and I've been paying more attention to it as I try to meet more actors, so that I have a bigger like library of people to work with. But like what I see so clearly and what I've always seen is the difference between people who are interested in doing good work and the people who are interested in the other parts of the industry, in the industry itself, in the fame, all that. The people who are interested in doing good work, who are artists, do good work. They are always doing good work. They're doing good work in the crappy TV show that they got cast on. They're doing good work in the directing workshop of 4 other nobodies who arrived on a bus. Like, they're just always doing good work. And they're suffering just like everyone else is suffering because it's hard.
Yeah.
But they're doing the work. And like everybody else who, is coming here, we know the other side of it. And I think it's perfectly okay to hate on them, because what's to respect?
Yes. Okay. You know what? That is it. That's really what it is. It's a respect issue. And like, it's taken me a while and I'm still working on it, but like, I don't like saying that I'm an actor because it's scary, because I know what that entails. I know what that looks like. And I know that the people on the other side, which I've always been on the other side, what we see that as.
Oh, and yeah.
By the way, for all my nice actors out there who are respectful and courteous and all of that, thank you. Keep doing that. We appreciate it. But like, for the ones who are like terrible human beings to everyone in the crew, like, fuck off, you guys. Like, this is not your show. And it's so hard because, that's what I keep thinking of is like, oh, I don't want to say that I'm an actor, because then that's how I imagine it. That's what I know. I don't want it to be that. But I do know quite a few who are lovely and have always been courteous.
Yeah, of course. But everyone else can leave so that I can find a place to fucking park.
Please, I'd like to get to my destination, not in 45 minutes when it's 2 miles away. Thanks. Yeah, I wrote a whole book about this because I was like, I hate this. But it's the respect of your craft. It's the respect you give to other people. And it's the respect you give to yourself of how badly do you want this? And actually in my book, it's all about like, should I throw in the towel on, she's a songwriter, which I used to be for years. Should I throw in the towel on this? Or should I keep going? Like, I don't know. And so many people do get to that crossroads as artists because you just never know when that thing is just going to click and maybe it just goes, like I'm sure my friend writing the Godfather screenplay was not sitting in his apartment locked down thinking, he was like, I hope this makes it to theaters one day. I hope that we can go inside a theater one day. That's what he was saying, and I'm like, that's great to even be thinking that far ahead, but it's so much stamina that you have to have. And it's so hard to keep that up. And it's just, Also, I mean, I don't know. I feel like this all the time where like some days are great. And then other days I get like reality just smack in the face. I'm like, oh, that's right. And that's happening.
Usually right after I got a couple passes.
Right.
I feel great right before I send a submission out to like a filmmaker or an actor. I'm like, you know what? This could work. This person could, this billionaire's daughter might want to give me $3.5 million. She might. It happens. And then she doesn't. And then I'm like, well, it's because I've never done anything and I never will.
Oh gosh.
That's why you need to have perspective. That's why you need to have other parts of your life. You have to have your family life and your friend life and your animals and your humanitarian efforts and your whatever. That's why you have to be a whole human.
You have to do all the things people tell you to do. There's a reason for it.
It turns out you have to exercise.
Yep. You got to breathe. You got to have like meditation. Everyone's telling you to meditate.
You have to exercise. You have to, see people you like in person. Things you apparently have to do if you want to be able to survive this universe.
It's a weird one, but like, let's talk about what it's like, because for so long and still it is very much a man's world, and in your world with directing, producing, writing, all of it, it's very still man oriented. What is that like as a woman, and what have you like experienced?
So I can probably relate what I've experienced most simply. I mean, I have experienced the transition in the way the culture talks about stuff, like everybody else has, right? I experienced Me Too up close, within the heart of the industry. Sort of my point of view on this is that 95% of the jerks who were in positions of power before Me Too are still there. It's a generational issue. Yeah. And at the same time, there has been a genuine and a general shift in the culture. Right. And what I have observed is how hard it is for organizations and institutions to change. And anyone who works in politics knows this. I mean, you can see this working in every level, but you've got this really interesting problem for companies, right? They're like, okay, well, we hired 0 out of 100 women last year, and we would like to fix it. So we're going to make a list. We're going to say, okay, we're going to hire 50 out of 100 women or something. I mean, and that is genuinely, I think, the best solution that a company can come up with. Like, it's really hard. It's not like it's not like everybody is suddenly implanted with this new idea and we're all suddenly behaving according to this great ethical framework where we all know exactly how to behave now, right? Yeah. It's hard, gritty work to change processes and ecosystems that have been in place forever. And the reality is, and you see this across the board with every form of the effort to try to include more voices and introduce more diversity in the industry, you basically end up with quotas, and you end up with like the shiny stars of each category who kind of end up getting most of the projects, but that's kind of how it always is.
It's always like that.
And I don't hate it, because I don't know how else. I don't want to be a fatalist, but like, it's still change. And, the progressive in me wishes that everything changed immediately for the better. Yeah. But practically speaking, for me, I think it's undeniable that it's easier for me as a director who is a woman to try to get a movie made this year than it would have been 5 years ago.
Absolutely.
And 10 times easier than it would have been 10 years ago. Do I love every single quote unquote feminist movie that blazed the trail for me? No. Do I think they're all amazing works of art? No.
Yeah.
But I don't care, because they don't have to be, and they don't have to accord to my opinion either. And I'm grateful that the way might be a little easier for me, but I'm also aware that it's still really hard.
Now that's the truth. That is really the truth. And like, you know it, I know it. We know this industry. Literally, it's the only one we've ever known. We grew up in it. And it's just, there is a method to it. There is a working function to it. And I'm glad that things are getting a little bit better. But they also, I felt like last year with everything we're talking about, it kind of like tipped really, really far over to one side too.
And look at the Sundance lineup where you're like, on the one hand, I'm thrilled that there are more people from different backgrounds who are making more stuff because that is as it should be.
Right.
But at the same time, you're like, well, but it's also like all of my like inherited trauma, Soviet antennas go up where I'm like, also, everybody is trying to accord to like the new. It's a little bit of propaganda, Like
we're not saying it is. Maybe we are. I don't know. But
I tread lightly only because I don't want to upset and hurt people's feelings by being facetious and talking about this in a way that's insensitive. I really don't. But it does really. The reason I say propaganda and the reason it itches me is because I don't believe that, suddenly programming, a ton of people from one demographic category, like whether it's a ton of Black directors doing Sundance movies or whether it's like 60% women doing, pilots on a TV slate. I don't think that represents, I think it both does and doesn't represent genuine change. Like in a practical way, it totally does, but I'm also just suspicious. Not that people who deserve it aren't getting it, blah, blah, like that's bullshit. Fuck that. I'm just suspicious that it doesn't represent like anything more than lip service, but also maybe that doesn't matter. Maybe lip service is enough if it means more people are getting programmed and more people are getting funding. I don't know. I guess so.
My biggest concern is that it might just go back to the way that it used to be. Like it might take like what we have right now and like water it down. It just gets watered and watered and watered. And then it just, because it's such a strong system, like we really do talk about like the studio system or just the industry. It is a very...
I can give you a concrete example of this.
Okay.
Right. And this is why I am frustrated and hopefully listeners will believe that I'm on the side of the angels here. So I have a project that I got the rights to a Polish horror movie that I want to remake as an American horror movie. And the original Polish movie is about supernatural possession at a wedding, but it's really about historical trauma. And it's like a couple's getting married in the Polish countryside. And the night before the wedding, the groom finds a like skeleton, which in Poland, there've been a lot of wars. It's like something maybe a little more common than happened here. So he finds the skeleton. He doesn't tell anybody. And he becomes possessed by the spirit that was in that skeleton, a Dybbuk, who is the spirit of a woman named Hannah, who was Jewish. And it becomes clear that the bride's family had killed Hannah and her family during World War II and taken her house, and they were complicit in the Holocaust.
Oh, that is so amazing.
It's funny. It's a satire, and it's actually really fun and funny. But it's it's about personal denial and historical denial. And I was like, wow, this translates really elegantly to an American context. Yeah. There are any number of American historical traumas that you could translate this as. And I had a series of interesting and just like disheartening conversations with executives where over and over again, I'll take this out. They're like, we love it. We love this idea. And I was like, look, why don't we do a plantation wedding? You've got a biracial couple. We discovered that maybe it's the groom's family had a history of owning slaves. Right. And they're like, like it's been, and I'm for the listeners, in case you can't tell, I'm like a Jewish white girl from West LA. So, but like
from Russia.
Yeah. But all the executives are like, like it's kind of been a lot of Black content recently. There's been a lot of Black horror movies recently.
Oh,
and I was like, this is what I mean about finding it like lip service and frustrating, because I don't think that the market is tired of hearing these stories, but I can hear that the executives are now look, am I super bummed that someone wants to do it as a destination wedding in Hawaii? No, like I'm happy to go to Hawaii, but like but that reaction reveals the reality of the situation on the ground, which is that people still are who they are. They grew up in the world they grew up in. We've gone through this tremendous social and cultural upheaval. But, in the end, even within the soul of a person, sometimes things change quickly, sometimes things change slowly. And overall, it's a messy, messy process is sort of where I land.
I think that is some truth spoken. And sometimes people just never get it. Your soul some souls just can't get it in this lifetime. They have to come back and try it all over again. I love that. Okay, to bring it back to the light, let's talk about boys / wannabe men in Los Angeles. Or, we can also spread it out, but we know the guys here. So when we met the day of the Oscars. Your girlfriend was going to the Oscars. She worked with the team from Coda. So it was very special night for her.
Very exciting.
And by the way, my little kitten just came in. She's so cute.
Oh. Yeah, we had to very quickly find, hello, kitty. We had to make her glamorous. I mean, she was already glamorous. She was French. But
exactly. I know.
She had 5 days to get the dress and the hair and the makeup and this and that. It was a surprise.
It was so cute. And she had so much fun. She's so beautiful. It was so great. And as we were sitting having some French press coffee, as we would, you had an amazing analogy about men. And I would like you to share that because it's brilliant.
Okay.
I think every woman...
I just got into an argument with my cousin about whose theory this is. She claims that she developed the Van theory of men. I think she's wrong. But also her memory is better than mine. So I got to stay agnostic on that. So the Eve / Annalisa theory of men is, and this comes from a pretty good data set. I've been observing the men. I don't know if they know, but I've been watching what they've been doing for a while. I've been taking notes. I have a data set, and what it reveals is that, and I'm talking here about the coastal elites. I can't comment on the middle of the country. I don't know.
Yes.
I assume that it's the same thing, but probably happens sooner because timelines seem faster there. But here, what happens is a young man lives in Los Angeles or New York. He has a very serious relationship in his late 20s. That is the first time that he really is an adult, a responsible adult in another relationship where he has obligations and responsibilities towards another person that force him to face his own mortality. And so, of course, he dumps her.
Naturally. Yeah.
And the only people who don't, I'm going to caveat, the only men, and this is Eve, my cousin's insight for sure, who don't go through this process are ones who suffered some actual real trauma earlier in their life. Where they actually lived something that maybe made them face their own mortality, if you want to be philosophical about it, but who actually lived through something other than being a suburban who had a perfectly fine life, all the way up until now. So we're talking about essentially quite privileged people who have not experienced anything out of the ordinary human experience up until now. Okay. So these dudes, they had a very serious relationship. They ended it. They're now between the ages of 29 and 32. And they move into a van. They either buy a vintage van or talk about buying a vintage van or just move into a van in their minds. The thing is, the number of men that I know of or have seen on a dating app who are actively in a van, it's just an astonishing number. And while they're in their van stage, they are fucking around, they're fucking the girls, but they're mostly focused on their work. All the emotional energy is on their careers, right? Because their confrontation with death has made them think about what it means to be a man. And in our culture, in our society, being a man is very tied up in labor and work and yada, yada, yada. So they're well, I need to be a man, therefore I need to work. So I'm going to work, but I'm still going to fuck these girls. And they're probably 22 because why not? They like it. Okay, so they do that for a while. And then at a certain point, they get tired because living in a van, it stinks. And, and here I'm almost stealing from the Amy Schumer stand-up that she had a little while ago, but she kind of said the same thing. She was they just get tired and they look around and the first nice, smart person in their field of vision they just go home with that person, take a shower. And then within 6 months, they are married, bought a house, and have a kid.
So true. It's so true, kids.
So like as a woman, obviously I'm not interested in vans. There are any number of men where I've been like, no, thank you.
Yeah.
I get car sick. But now that I'm a little older and wiser, I'm like, oh, I actually just have to like keep an eye out for vans and just like try to assess how long he's been living in it. Like, is this like a new van? Has he been in this van for like 2 years, 2.5, 3, 8? Like how
How
close?
Is this a lifelong van situation?
See, this overlaps pretty well with my avocado theory of men.
Oh God, please tell me that one.
I love a mixed metaphor. Okay. So if a man is an avocado, right? he's sitting there in your kitchen and he's not right. He's just not right. Like you're looking at it, it's not right. You go away, you come back, it's not right. And then one day on a Tuesday, it's just ripe. It just is. And you have 45 seconds to eat that avocado before somebody else eats that avocado or it turns brown. Right. And then you can still eat it. It's still a nice avocado. You just have to like scoop out little brown parts. I'm sorry. That metaphor is not quite as good, but it kind of encapsulates the emotional experience.
It does. It does. We've all scooped out the brown parts of a man and been like, it's
turtles all the way down. Okay.
Oh my God. It is weird out here. And men are just bizarro creatures. Oh. And like the work thing is real. And I mean, I went through, my last podcast that I did today, I was saying to you, we did a ton of work on like the masculine and feminine, and we talked about the wounded feminine. And so the wounded feminine is like really, really masculine. And basically that's who I was. Like all of my 20s into my early 30s, I was like, no, I'm going to compete with all men. And like, yeah, not fun. And that's like why I missed I didn't miss van men. I did miss van men because they were in their vans and they were definitely not ripe avocados. But like I did meet a couple where I'm like, oh, I guess I'm going to scoop that out. Is there any green left in there? I don't think there's any green. No, we're good. We're going to throw you out too. But it's so weird. I've thought back to my 20s so much and thought about like 28, 29, like who was I with? Like what was going on and how literally that happened to me. And I think we talked about this when we first met with this story. Like I was so in love with someone, not to say he was the right person or hell, I don't think I was the right person either. Like I was not showing up as my perfect self. I was all kinds of needing therapy and all kinds of things. But like he did end up doing exactly what you said and marrying a girl who, by the way, looked very similar to me. And like they got married on my birthday. Like what? Oh my God. It was like a year after we stopped dating. I'm like, oh geez. And like, that's the whole, that's just weirdo men out here. Like they're obsessed with work, but they're also obsessed with their image. Like, let's just talk about that and how obsessive they are with their image and what they look like, but then they're actually sleeping in a van.
I mean, I was trying to explain this to my mother yesterday because I broke down after like 4 years of resistance. I joined Raya. The Raya. And I made my profile and they serve you at men. And like the second man they served me was a very famous comedian who I know is constantly on tour. So no, thank you. The third man they served me was a man I know who is the recently separated husband of an Australian model who has a 7-year-old son and is a known drug addict. And like the third man me was, wearing the classic like broad brim hat, open shirt in the desert with the sun, very polished, yada, yada. And I just got mad, and my mother couldn't understand why I got mad. And part of the conversation, I was like, look, you have to understand how, in what weird ways the culture has shifted. And like one of the shifts, and it would take a minute to really break it down thoroughly. But like one of the shifts has something to do with the sort of aspirational lifestyle that men are aiming for now, and the ways in which they, and I don't want to get too far into it, but just like the 15, 20, 30 years ago, the general expectation for a mainstream dude was that it was a cultural expectation that he was going to have a serious job and get married and have a family and yada, yada. And that is constricting in many ways. And I'm not saying that that's like a better paradigm, but that was the paradigm. And very recently, the paradigm has shifted towards this more, I would say self-serving, or I don't know, individualistic, or in the same way that women have been let go from that constrictive paradigm, men have been let go from that constrictive paradigm. And the end result is that, let's say you've got 10 men. One of them's a genuine asshole. Fuck that guy. And two of them are super special weirdos who don't follow cultural trends. Great for them. But like 7 of them are regular, nice men, perfectly good men. Yeah. Right. And it's the same for women. Let's say you've got the same thing going on the women's side. Okay. If the culture is teaching those 7 perfectly regular men that they don't need to value any sort of, any of these traditional important things like starting a family and commitment and yada, yada, yada. And I'm not saying this as if I'm promoting, a Republican traditionalist lifestyle, but I am saying this as someone who has observed the what endless choice and the gamification of dating and the blah, blah, plug in here the thing we don't like about the current dating scene, right?
Yeah.
And the ways in which it has corrupted people's values and made them more isolated and made it harder for people to connect or want to be responsible for other people. And you can tie in all the stuff about boundaries and does it serve me? And is this my best self? And yada, yada. There's all sorts of stuff that's a mix of very good and very insidious that goes in there. Right. But the end result is that you've got 7 out of 10 men who feel 0% pressure to build a life with someone. Right. So that means the 7 of us on our side are competing for the 2. It becomes terrible math,
It is terrible math.
Because those 7 are dating 20-year-olds who are like, when I was 20, I was fucking around. I didn't want anything serious till I was 32.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fuck boys only. If you are not in a band, do not apply. That was my lifestyle, like these kids, except that I was 26, slash 30. And they're, they're 36, and now we are burdened with our, ovaries and biological clocks and different cultural expectations and yada, yada. And it just makes the math really complicated, I think, in your 30s.
I think so too. And also just to put that on, to put this on top of it, if you are in a creative field, you're not really probably going to click with someone who's in tech. I'm sorry, I've tried it. It's very difficult. It takes a special person to understand a crazy creative, and it takes a special person to understand a tech person. So I don't know. It makes it even harder.
There's an overrepresentation of narcissists who cut people off in the creative field. So
there are, exactly. It makes it very dangerous to date people who are similar to you. So, which is why I usually don't, but I would like some kind of creativity somewhere in there. But yeah, no, it's terrifying out here. Just don't move to LA or New York is basically the theme of our podcast.
No, we got enough.
We have enough people here.
There's nowhere to park. There's no one to marry. You don't want to come. You want a house. You want to buy a house. You've been working somewhere else. So you have money and you want to buy a house. You can't. There are no houses.
There are no houses left. Nothing you want to live in. Trust me. It's a mess. But we remain here because we are natives and this is our home and we're making it happen. And I think let's give the moral of the story today. The moral of the story is that do what you want to do, respect yourself in the interim, and don't be a fuckboy.
I think that's when moral of the story for me, and something I've been kind of chewing on the last few days, is being more humble about timelines.
Yes. Much better moral. I'll take your moral.
Thank you very much. I've been thinking about this a lot recently. Just that it is very hard for us as puny humans on this planet to have a big sense of time and timelines. We're very caught up in our moment to moment lives. And that's true on every level. And it's very true in terms of one's romantic life. And it's very true in terms of one's career. And I think the sort of corollary to, or maybe the way in which one can manage to have a good timeline is by having a life that is filled with many different things and many different worlds, because each world is operating in its own timeline.
Right.
Your friends, your family, the things you do to help other people, which we should all be doing more of. And I don't care that makes me sound like I'm preaching.
You can preach.
I think, yeah, no, I mean, I look around, honestly, I just look at how much, even though it feels like shit because this war in Ukraine has been very upsetting, like being able to do any kind of volunteering work that I've been able to do does help. Like when I was feeling fucked up in the pandemic, doing volunteering, it actually does help. And I think the reason it helps is not because like God touches you with his special finger and like makes you a better person. It's because it changes your perspective.
Yeah.
And it just like reframes where you are in day-to-day life. And in many ways that relieves the burden, because you just see yourself as part of something bigger, yada, yada. Right.
Yeah.
And I think that's the way in which having a life that's filled with many different worlds helps with timelines, which helps with getting over it when people say that they don't like your script.
And with that, we conclude our episode. Oh my gosh, Anna, tell people how they can find you.
If
you want to be found.
I'm an enigma.
She's that artsy.
No, I don't have a social media presence. I just appear like a ghost from time to time. And imminently, people are going to give me millions of dollars to make my art so that I can
remain a ghost.
So you'll find me on the silver screen. That's where you'll find me.
There we go. All right. Well, Anna, thank you so much for coming on. This is so much
pleasure.
fun. I feel like we really should have had cocktails while we were doing this. So let's plan that another time.
With pleasure.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for listening to the podcast. Remember, sharing is caring. Make sure to rate the podcast and leave a review. We really rely on this to help get the podcast out there. Also, make sure to watch the video version on YouTube at That Girl the Podcast.